Hey everyone, I've made a critical decision for the high-tech planet tank. I am going to remove the diffuser that's in there and replace it with an inline diffuser with the canister filter. And the reason for that is, although this diffuser is doing a fine job of getting the CO2 where it needs to be in the tank, like my indicator's turning green, I'm happy with that. My issue is that the bubbles coming out of the diffuser, there are some really nice fine bubbles that are pretty consistent, but every once in a while I'm getting a thicker, chunkier bubble popping up and going to the surface. And although that's not the end of the world, seeing as I'm definitely getting enough CO2 in the system, what it does is it kind of kills the efficiency of the CO2 system in that I'm going to be wasting a little bit of CO2 through those bubbles. The contact time is not nearly enough. They're just flying straight up to the surface and popping and letting all the good CO2 into the air rather than having it diffuse into the water at a good rate. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that out and I'm going to be replacing it with an inline diffuser and a bubble counter, because that diffuser has a built-in bubble counter, so I'm going to need an external one. So I'll go ahead and get these on the canister filter. Now, whenever you're using an inline diffuser like this, you typically want it on the output of the canister, so you've got clean water going through the diffuser and it doesn't get junked up and gummed up, because inside of this diffuser is very similar to the other diffuser is a ceramic disc. So I'm just going to pop this thing open, unless I break it. There we go. I'm just going to pop this open and show you that there's actually a ceramic diffuser inside. So the whole idea is the water is going to be traveling through the center of the diffuser, right through here, goes through there, through the center of the diffuser, down through and out the bottom. And what we have here is a little nipple on the side for the CO2. The CO2 is going to basically come in around the diffuser here, and it won't be able to get into the water column unless it can get through this very, very thin ceramic material, which is what chops up the bubbles so fine on the diffuser in this tank. So yeah, the one big benefit is that the seals on this are much, much larger. I can get a better purchase on the lid here when I'm tightening it up, which means I'm going to be able to get those seals nice and tight. We shouldn't have any CO2 leaking around the seals, which is what's happening with that one in there. So let's get this thing on the canister. I barely have enough space to do it because I chose to use an inline heater, but I'm going to be putting it right here. It's going to be tight. It's going to be very, very tight, but it's going to be doable. And yeah, it's not great that it's right up beside the tank. Like, I typically wouldn't want to see it necessarily, but that's where it's got to go. If you stick it on this side, you're going to be getting dirty water from the tank going through it, then down to the canister. And what'll end up happening is you're just going to get this gummed up, and that diffusing plate or the ceramic diffusing ring that's inside of this is just going to get gummed up with junk on the inside, and then it's not going to work very well. So here we go. First thing I'm going to want to do, grab a bucket. I'm going to, my Eheim 2213 is off. I've already unplugged it. So what I'm going to do is just move my CO2 system over here. It is also unplugged, so the solenoid is closed. No CO2 is going in the tank. Any CO2 you see in there right now is just residual buildup from the lines, from the pressure that's in the line. So I'm going to pop this off. There's always a little bit of water in the tube there. And okay. Shit, these are down all the way. Oh, this is gonna be tight. I'm gonna grab a little bit of hot water from a kettle, and that'll help me loosen off the tubing so I can get it over top of this barb. As you can see, it's gonna be a stretch. It's a very doable stretch, but a stretch nevertheless. So hot water, here we go. Just going to dip the end of the tube here in the hot water, soften it up a little bit. That is never going to come off. We've got it locked on there. So now we just need to do the top tube kind of about there. Warm. Perfect. But you need to turn like 90 degrees. So now we can get this back on. So the next step is going to be to work on the CO2 system itself. I have towels everywhere at all times. So one of the advantages now is that I only have a short distance to go with the CO2 to get to, yeah, look at that. Way less distance. I'm actually going to leave the excess CO2 tubing on there. And I do have a bubble counter, which maybe I'll have up at tank level. I have a feeling it might want to disagree with being bent like that, but I have these nifty tubing holders that are going to make that a little bit easier. And that one's just going to curl under to here. Back that up all the way. Get this all the way on. So let's get our canister turned back on here. Now with this particular diffuser, it's got a little fan inside of it to let you know that the flow is moving through the canister, give you an idea of what's going on in there. Hook up my bubble counter, which is losing its mind at the moment. So I'm going to just turn it down. Again, I'm aiming for roughly 2 bubbles a second. 1, 2. There we go. Now we're switched over to inline. So we'll see how that goes. Keep an eye on our little indicator here. So definitely waiting for more of a yellow-green. Just while the plants are adjusting to being completely submersed. But otherwise, that bluish green would be all right. We're really, at the end of the day, aiming for the true green in the center. But if we start floating close to yellow for now, I'm not going to be too worried about it. So there you have it. We are now switched over to an inline diffuser, which has various benefits. Usually they're a little bit more efficient. They're also normally more out of sight, although we made the conscious decision to put it up here right in our line of sight, so you guys would have a really good look at what's going on and how it looks. And it's kind of crazy. We got bubbles over here, we got spinning over there, and you can see the bubbles coming in. It's like a little show of its own now. But yeah, if you have any questions about CO2 diffusers or anything aquatics, feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to get back to you. And you can also reach out to us on Facebook, social media. We got that. If you'd like some nice, interesting aquatic eye candy, you can check out our Instagram. And as always, subscribe to our beautiful channel. We have it here for you guys, so we can look at all the wonderful aquatic goodness we get up to. We've got these builds, which this one's almost done. And you want to come back and see the rest of this? You know, with the rest of the plants and the trimmy and the nice and the pretty. And then we've got other builds like the mega build with the discus. We've got another one that's going to be a lot saltier, perhaps coming soon. Subscribe so you can keep on tanking with me here, where I love to keep on tanking. So keep on tanking. And there you have it. We are now switched over to an inline diffuser, which normally would give you... I hit my head. Distracted me.